Welcome to Contentstack Pulse's Fall Recap. We're thrilled to have you join us as we take a look back at all the amazing things that have happened this fall. I'm your host, Nicole Quick, and with me today is my co-host, John Kelly. Thanks for coming back, John.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
In the world of digital experiences, things move fast, but Contentstack is always committed to staying ahead of the curve. This fall, we have been busy innovating, collaborating, and creating solutions that empower businesses around the globe. Sit back and relax and enjoy how John explains what Contentstack can do for you. Off to you, John.
Thanks, Nicole. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with our CMS and look at some new features. First thing we'll talk about today is our AI assistant, which I'm really excited to share is now generally available. So our AI assistant is really easy to configure. If you jump over to our marketplace, let's go ahead and search for the assistant itself. I already have it installed, but I just want to walk through some new features there. And if I go through the configuration, we can see that we, of course, have the ability to leverage, Contentstack's own account with some common AI large language model providers, or of course, our customers can add their own credentials if they want to leverage services through, OpenAI, Amazon Bedrock, Anthropic, etc. I'm going to go ahead and keep it managed by Contentstack. A really exciting new feature here for the AI assistant is actually the advanced configuration to create your own prompts. So this actually is the ability to not just have generic transformations on text to do things like shorten or lengthen or make more exciting or interesting, but actually the ability to sort of influence the way and the sort of the instructions by which the AI is going to actually augment or shape or generate that content. So in this case, and this applies, I should say, not only to at the field level within Contentstack, but also within our rich text editor as well, which we'll demo here in just 1 second. Just before this, I was able to create a little custom prompt that says, sounds like Nicole. So basically what that's going to do is I said, and I sort of am taking some creative liberties here, Nicole, but I basically said, Nicole is an individual on the marketing team, brilliant, enthusiastic marketing professional, who is attempting to, and then I have the ability to add some sub options here as well. In this case, I added just a single option for persuade. So when I say that she's attempting to persuade, it means she's attempting to persuade her audience of something. And that is basically the content and the context that I'm adding to the request I'm making to our AI system. Of course, I can have that, work on any field or the current field you're on, or target sort of a separate field within the entry as well, and define whether that's available in our rich text editor or at the field level, or both. So we'll see what that looks like in action here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up that stack and we'll have a look. I actually haven't tried this yet. So this is going to be a bit of an experiment on what the outcome is. But we'll just pop into sort of a sample entry here. In this case, it looks like we'll just grab, blog post, what to pack for Antarctica in April. I'm not sure if you've been to Antarctica in April. I haven't. But Nicole, you'll have to let me know how it is if you end up going. We have some sample text here that is just sort of a starter for this little blog post. I'm just going to go ahead and select this, and we'll go ahead and just ask our AI assistant to, and of course we have all of our actions that are available at the field level and also within the field. This field level ones are a bit more extensive here, as you can see. But within this, I'm just going to go ahead and ask it to rewrite the entire paragraph. So actually we'll use it at the field level instead of just doing a inline one. And sounds like Nicole and persuasive. So this is going to go ahead and take a minute to regenerate and basically expand on this article as Nicole, a brilliant professional marketer, trying to basically persuade her audience around packing for Antarctica and preparing for a trip. So you'll see this kind of start to pop in there. It'll just kind of take a second to run through. All right, so now that we went ahead and generated that article, what we can see is that these custom prompts are extremely helpful for generating content that is very on brand, contextual, relevant to the task at hand, and most importantly, relevant to the user who's actually leveraging this AI system to help them get their job done. So the idea here is that we want our users to feel like they have someone who is sort of a member of their team, a member of their tribe, sort of, looking over their shoulder or helping them to be more productive. So it shouldn't change what they're doing or the types of things that they're able to do. It should just help them be more productive and get more done with the time they're spending at work. Importantly, this is also portable between stacks. So if I pop this back up again, and we won't go through the sort of sharing mechanisms, but just to kind of have our actions at hand. So all new content projects could actually come preloaded with this AI assistant and with all the custom prompts associated with that assistant. And of course, those can be as many as you want. As you'll notice, again, for the custom prompts, not only did I create the top level menu items, I was also able to create sort of sub prompts as well. So basically there's a nesting structure here where I can create sort of my top level ideas and personas and tasks. And then of course, all this sort of individual permutations for how that task or that idea or that person should sound and how the generative AI should be created. Alrighty, let's take a look at some new updates we have for our marketplace. The marketplace for Contentstack is basically the sort of central hub to share everything that is related to extensibility for the Contentstack platforms. It is our applications leveraging our app framework and app SDK and design system, which are inclusive of lots of interesting first-party and third-party apps to sort of expand and help sort of supercharge and superpower the lives of content authors, editors. We have our starters, of course, which are sort of websites or applications in a box. Our automations, which are recipes that you can sort of install automatically into Automation Hub to help streamline and, again, take off your plate some of those more annoying and sort of menial or manual tasks. And then the new one is actually content models. So we added a new category here, which are content model templates, which are effectively ways to basically collections of predefined content types, as well as global fields, which are really just available to import those directly into your stack. Again, to help sort of bootstrap your way into that experience creation and sort of just help ensure that some of the best practices are being followed around things like help text and sort of required field versus not required fields. And really just ensure that you know, as you're looking to build a new digital experience, you're doing so in sort of the right way, in a way that we sort of recommend to help your authors and your teams be successful. So they include things like, you know, about us pages, blog pages, contact us, some hero listings, of course, headers and footers, and sort of product listing pages as well. To actually go ahead and get one installed, pretty easy. So you just go ahead and click on the content model you're interested in, click on import, and basically you're able to go through the process in the wizard of getting that added to your stack. So this actually will open up our installation wizard. This is the exact same wizard that's used for installing starter apps into your organization as well. In this case, I already have, you know, I'm authorized into this organization and I have a series of stacks here. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab the one we were working on and import that content model. And we will go ahead and say, yeah, title text works. And we'll see the logs now of how we're going to go ahead and get that model added to our stack. And we should see it here in just a second. It'll tell us it's completed, and we'll be able to start using that content type to create entries immediately. Awesome. So we can see we're now in our content type screen, and we have our About Us page, which is a singleton type, and it's installed all of these different fields to represent the schema, as well as a variety of components, which in our case are called modular blocks. When I go ahead and actually create the About Us page, I now have everything I need to create many different permutations and ways in which a common About Us page is generated, all with sort of predefined best practices around concept modeling, around relationships to data, and around component and block-based building, which is a very contemporary and modern way to do digital experience creation within a headless CMS platform. Let's move on to Contentstack Launch. We're going to take a look at some updates we made to our ability to invalidate and then sort of rehydrate the cache at our within the edge, within our content delivery network. Of course, we are currently in Automation Hub. We're not in Launch. We're going to show this visually in Automation Hub because, of course, with all of our products within the Contentstack portfolio and family of applications, we do ensure that they work very seamlessly together and are better together than they are apart. So in this case, I have just like a basic automation, just some simple notification on entry changing. I'm going to go ahead and jump into our action menu for a list of actions and connectors to third-party services, or of course, first-party services. In this case, I'm just going to navigate down to launch. So in this case, basically, what I'm setting up is an automation where every time an entry is updated within Contentstack, it's going to go ahead and, in this case, I can choose between deploy a new build or not deploy a build, but rather just invalidate or revalidate the cache within our content delivery network. The importance of this and what we're calling this is basically on-demand revalidation. This is essentially a method to help keep all the content really fresh on your website and to your audience, which is incredibly important. But also importantly, to not have to require sort of onerous or burdensome sort of rebuilding of these applications or regenerating or rehydrating pages, and doing a lot of sort of tedious development work that might lead to poor performance or increased latency, or just excessive sort of computations. And so in this case, we are sort of white labeling or sort of pulling back into Contentstack a method that exists typically within a front end application itself. So within like a Gatsby install or a Next.js install, and we're sort of taking that functionality that they've built into the applications themselves and actually moving it sort of upstream into the hosting itself, so into the launch platform. So this works with any application or site you're building, works with any framework you want to use. You don't have to necessarily use that one in this case. We're able to just provide that out of the box as a generic method to basically configure and manage caching directly from Contentstack. So in this case, I have just my Contentstack demo sites account added here. I can select a project. So in this case, we'll call this Dean Test Gatsby. And my environment, which in this case is just production. I think in this case, call it product. And of course, I can basically add a path for which our cache is going to be revalidated. So basically that is, to say, okay, when an entry changes, go ahead and notify this URL within the application, and we'll just go ahead and rehydrate with that new content. So really, really neat new feature, and really helping to streamline and make more productive the developer experience when building experiences with Contentstack. And notably, this is not required to use Automation Hub in order to leverage the on-demand revalidation. You can actually do this directly within your application as well. So Automation Hub is just one way to sort of help visually stitch this together. But of course, if I navigate back to launch, I can go into a launch project directly, and through the configuration of the project, and through your sort of application that you're building that's integrated with launch, you can get that stood up directly on your own as a developer as well. No need to use Automation Hub to sort of visually enable this feature. It's already available within the launch platform directly. Let's talk about Automation Hub. So really exciting new update to share here is that we're actually first to market and are live now with our integration with Amazon's Bedrock platform. Bedrock is basically a platform hosted by Amazon, which gives access and sort of normalizes the way in which users can access a variety of different foundational large language models from companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, Facebook's, Amazon's own Titan, etc. And it's sort of just a single entry point to access a variety of LLMs, some of which that are more oriented and better geared for a variety of different tasks. So in this case, we have an existing Bedrock automation already populated, which is just a pretty standard one that when an entry is updated, to go ahead and basically do some interesting transformations using Anthropic's Claude in this case. And so it's basically going to prompt Claude through Bedrock to go ahead and sort of rewrite an article for you, and then make the update to that entry once the revision is done. So the way that you would actually access this, if I were to just append a new action to this, is I go to our actions menu and I go to the AWS Bedrock action or connector. In this case, we have a prompt action you can use, already authenticated here, so we don't need to do that. And then we get to choose our foundational large language models. And so in this case, I can use Titan, a variety of Titan ones, which is Amazon's kind of own LLM, Stable Diffusion, some stuff from AI21, of course, Anthropic Claude, and from Cohere as well. So basically anything that is offered through the Bedrock platform, we have access to here. And of course, I have some configuration fields that I can use for prompting, of course, which I can use to take values from a prior field and use those as part of my prompts to the AI system. And then defining things like, numbers of tokens are sort of other sort of gears and configurations to adjust and fine tune the responses there. But really exciting new development from Amazon. Contentstack and Amazon actually or I should say Contentstack was first to market with this integration. We actually were able to announce this the day that Amazon themselves did as well. And still, to my knowledge, are the only CMS that offers this integration to Bedrock. And of course, we're the only CMS that does have the automation products to help really fine tune and get those responses dialed in for our audience.
I mean, the team has been pretty busy. Anything exciting you can touch upon that is coming, John?
Yeah, I think we can share a couple little Easter eggs. It's nowhere near Easter, but you get the point. So one thing we're really excited about is a upcoming CMS feature we're calling taxonomies. So taxonomies are essentially a tentpole feature, which is helping to solve the problem where in especially a headless system, a lot of the content organized are kind of just based on a flat document structure and based on really high quality searchability, which our system has, the organization of which is sort of built up in a variety of ways within sort of your content repository, your assets repository, all the users who have access to some cross section or subsection of that content and assets. And of course, how that content is then represented within your application and really anywhere on the web it's being published to. So in order to help solve for all of that, we are developing a taxonomy management system to help create and manage and assign nested structures of taxonomies, which could be just a dictionary or some sort of vocabulary that is known to the customer, to help just organize and bring everything to consolidate it under a single sort of unifying organizational structure. So the early access for that is starting here in just a few weeks. And we're looking forward to getting that out to customers beginning in the new year.
That's awesome. Can you talk about anything that's happening in the AI world?
Absolutely. So AI is an area that we are doubling or tripling or quadrupling or whatever comes after that down on. And of course, going a bit further than what we showed today around basically setting up a brand persona or an individual persona or sort of like custom prompting that is relative and contextual to the task at hand. We're actually sort of elevating that to be more of an organization-wide sort of first-party service. And so we're calling it something akin to like brand voice or sort of brand recognition, where basically a user and a team are able to upload basically who their company is, what their team is working on, what sort of tasks or campaigns or releases are at hand. And then of course, sort of the smallest granular object of that is who the user is themselves. And so the ability to sort of have these hierarchical structures and sort of have a blended, be able to tell our AI system with that blended narrative of, really what they're working on and what is important to them is going to help make the output of generative AI system much more relevant, contextual, on brand, and useful to both the user and the company at large.
And that marks the end of our recap journey for today. Stay tuned for more updates as we forge ahead. Until then, remember, with Contentstack, you get the digital experiences you want everywhere.